as mental preparedness as far as getting this ball club ready. They will be in the South Spencer sectional, so they will not be here for the Evansville sectional, but they've come down here a couple times, played some city teams earlier this week. Also last week had a little bit of trouble with a couple, but have a pretty good ball club put together 1 through 9.
On the hill, it is Scott Hart for the Reitz Panthers. We've seen him a couple of times.
Well, we've seen Scott in both the starting role and also the relieving role. He came in that 11-inning affair last week, ended up picking up the win. He pretty much pitched almost 7 innings in that game, but does a good job, especially if he's on with his control. He issued some walks earlier this year and got him into trouble, but usually most of the time he's going to be right around the plate.
Earlier we talked to Reitz's first baseman, Charles Gilmore, early before tonight's broadcast. Charles batting in a comfortable position in the lineup in the top 4. Team not doing too bad, and down the stretch half, how does Charles Gilmore feel?
We're doing all right. We're getting the bats going now, and the pitching will come in. And I think we got a pretty good shot at the sectionals. Got the first round bye, so we only have to play 2 games, and that doesn't strain our pitching any, so could be anybody's game, but I think we got the upper hand on them now.
Defensively, how do you think the team is playing? You see a lot from first base.
They're doing all right. Here lately, they've been making a few bad plays that's cost us a few games from short and third, but I think they'll come around. They'll come around during sectionals and give us a good ball game.
Team hitting, your hitting, happy with it so far?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with my hitting. Teams hit some slumps every once in a while, but we've always bounced back right after that, so I'm pretty happy with the team's hitting so far.
You guys in contention. Today we go outside, the sectional SIAC team in Castle. What do we know about them?
They got Julian, real good pitcher when he's on the mound. I haven't seen him play without him on the mound, so I really don't know what to expect yet.
Going down the stretch half of the season and into the section now, we talked a little bit about it. Who will give you the most problem?
Forsey definitely did during the regular season. He ate us up. Other than that, we can hit almost anybody that they've thrown at us so far.
Charles, best of luck on this afternoon.
Thank you.
Alongside Doug Emig, I'm Darren Smith, back out at Bossy Field, where it's Reitz and Castle on this particular evening. First look at Castle here on TV 52. Well, Doug, we've seen Reitz before, and coming in here at 15-12. Not too bad considering the competition in this SIAC.
A very tough city race all season long, and it's going to be a really interesting sectional once Tuesday hits around here around the city of Evansville. On the mound today, Scott Hart for Reitz, making his 8th appearance. His overall record of 4-2, ERA 3.39. He's pitched in 33 innings, allowed 24 hits, 19 runs, 16 of those earned. Also picked up 38 strikeouts and 25 walks.
Castle Knights 14-7 under Chuck Hawkins. Brian Riley will lead things off, the second baseman. Andy Bavanio will be the right fielder. Gator McBride, the center fielder, and Jason Christie in left field batting cleanup. Then it's Jason Tolley, Andy Julian, Adam Odom, Ryan Vanway, and Brad Bunnell. They round out the Castle Night 9. Doug, this is a very strong Castle team. We talked about at the top of the telecast, and have talked about pretty much all season. You look at their 14-7 record and say, not too bad, but they almost beat Memorial the night before.
They have a very good ball club. We talked about it in the pregame. 3 hitters hitting over 400. Jason Tolley leading the way at 484. Then comes the first baseman today, Andy Julian, right at 418, and also Gator McBride at 406.
Again, this is Brian Riley, the second baseman, to lead it off. So Reitz has been designated as the home team, and they have a nice ballpark out there in Paradise, they call it.
Had the opportunity this year to call a couple games up there. Memorial went up there, and I had that game, and also Harrison. Very good ball field and also a very good ball club here. They've had some troubles, as the 14-7 record would initiate right there, but overall, we talked in the pregame, pretty much a fundamentally sound baseball club.
As we talk about Scott Hart, and again, we've seen him a couple of times this season. This is one particular pitcher that takes a couple of innings to get warmed up. He came in relief in that long 11-inning game, and then he really shut him down for a couple of innings.
Came in, I believe it was the 5th inning, and had pretty much an easy inning after that, not allowing any runs to score after he got in. but has had some trouble with the control all year long. He really needs to come out, get a good performance here, especially heading into sectional play.
First of the strike here to Brian Riley for the 14-7 Castle Knights under Chuck Hawkins. Again, the Panthers under Steve Johnson are 15-12, and Hart looking to make quick work here on the outset stretch half of the 91 season. And it's Reitz and Castle, this particular another first there. And then the big matchup between Harrison and Castle will be out here 1 week from Saturday night for the 1991 sectional championship here in Evansville. 6 enter, 1 will leave, and it's going to be a very strong sectional at that.
It should be a very interesting sectional, as we've talked about pretty much all season long. With Memorial ineligible, it's pretty much wide open. I guess really the preseason or the pre-tournament favorites would probably have to be Central and Harrison, just for the fact that they have been there as far as the championship game is concerned, but you really cannot count any one team out.
Andy Viviano, the right fielder, on deck. And Hart looking for his first K with batter number 1, just a bit high there on the head level.
Our umpires for this afternoon's game behind the plate, oh reliable, Don Raxter and Sonny Brucken out on the bases.
Old reliable.
He's been around longer than even James Dunlap has, so that gives you an idea. One of the pretty much institutes as far as high school sports around here in Evansville.
Where are you on the seniority list as far as umpires go?
I got a long way to go. I believe I just completed, or I'm in the process of completing, my 5th year, so I've still got quite a few years ahead of me.
2-2 here to Brian Riley. We foul that one back. A breeze is out towards left field, and we've had a lot hotter days out here, and they will be hotter than we've already had. So again, welcome to May, and June right around the corner.
The closer it gets towards that summer, you're going to get the higher temperatures and also a lot of humidity. So really, thank goodness there is a breeze here this afternoon. It'll be a little bit tougher.
Mentioned kind of breezy again towards left. But if you're a ball player or anybody involved out here, it's not bad. Still 2-2 to Brian Riley, and this can't work in Hart's favor. As we mentioned, pretty much for all the season common sense, you don't want to throw too many in the early outset unless you have somebody waiting in the bullpen, which Wright obviously does. Not a bad staff at that, talking to Okie Pryor before the game.
They have had pretty much all season long the quality of pitching that they needed. And then we see a good catch by first baseman Charles Gilmore over there coming into foul territory. A good job of hitting there by Riley, though. He fouled off about 4 pitches, made Scott throw a little bit few extra pitches than he had really counted on.
Andy Biviano, the right fielder, to be followed by Gator McBride and Jason Christie. You look at McBride, Christie, and Tolley 3, 4, and 5, and that's going to scare any pitcher.
We talked all game long so far about the offense of this Castle Ball Club, and when we see them here this afternoon, I think we're probably going to get a good idea. You've got 3 guys over 400, a lot of base hits, also a lot of big RBIs.
1-0 from Hart, and again, Hart, who likes the corners. We've seen several like just to keep it down the middle. Again, it takes Hart just a couple of innings, but showing no slack here. Top half of the first inning scheduled for 7.
And talking about sectional play, Reitz was one of the 2 teams that drew a bye. This will only be a 6-team sectional here in Evansville this year due to the fact that Memorial is ineligible. Reitz and Central came out ahead, or really drew the bye, so that's going to give them a little bit more advantage versus the other ball clubs. That will start up Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, May 28th. First game will be Mater Dei and Harrison. That'll be the second game. Let me get this straight. Boise and North will be the first game. Harrison and Mater Dei the second.
Backwards K for Biviano. As we mentioned, anything could happen in these sectionals.
This is center fielder Gator McBride, one of those 3 power hitters in the lineup today for Castle. Comes in at 406, has picked up 26 hits and 64 at bats. Has also scored a team high 29 runs.
Probably the best first name in the SIAC in Gator.
One of the closest ones. I don't know that we've come across any that are quite as colorful as that one.
Jason Christie, the colorful hitter, batting cleanup on deck. 2 away here. 1 of 2 on the K for Hart, chasing McBride. McBride just a confident ball player. You can see that just warming up. He wants to get in there, he wants to get his swings, and hard on himself, but also you see the confidence. in his hitting, in his stance, and his general attitude.
And Coach Chuck Hawkins for Castle does a good job with the ball players. He really gets them as far as fundamentals go, really gets them into the game of the baseball. You can compare him to just about any one of the city coaches as far as fundamentals and a motivational factor. Always seem to have a good ball club up there in Paradise.
Bill Hammonds in right field. 3 up, 3 down for the Castle Knights. They were the favorite coming into this evening. It's Reitz and Castle in SIAC baseball on TV 52. Doug Emick, I'm Darren Smith. And it's Mike Missler on the hill for the Castle Knights.
Comes in with a record of 4-2 and overall ERA of 3.88. He's appeared in 30 and a third innings of work so far for Castle. Really, between him and Andy Julian, who is playing first base today, they are the ace of this Castle staff. Julian leading the way with a 6-3 record, 3.45 ERA. He also leads the team in strikeouts with 46.
A credit to these Castle pitchers. A lot of people in the city here don't see Castle as much as the other for obvious reasons out of town, but they have got quite a staff here put together even in pitching.
They have an overall fundamentally sound ball club, 1 through 9. The pitching staff is pretty much there. Julian has done the majority of the work so far this year as far as being the ace. You compare him to with a Mike Fetcher for this Reitz team, Ricky Forshee for Harrison, Eric Wagner for Central. They all seem to have that one spark plug or that one big on whenever the times are tough. They need that big quality win. They go to their number 1 man.
Huddle on the hill. Defensively, Castle goes this way. Missler and Ryan Van Way are your battery. Andy Julian at first. Brian Riley at second. Jason Tolley, the shortstop. And Brad Bennell, the third baseman. Jason Christie, Gator McBride, Andy Biviano, left center and right field. This is Craig Engel, the center fielder. For the Reitz Panthers, 15-12 to enter, and shut them down 1-2-3 in the top half of the inning. And so Reitz see if they can get the bats going again.
Did we see a gutsy performance from this Reitz ball club last week in that Modern Day game where they were ahead 7-0, eventually fell 7 runs down in that bottom of the 5th inning, which tied the score, and then we went about 5 more innings before the top of the 11th came around, and they got their stuff going together, picked up a big win.
One pitch went out to Biviano. Sean Livers, the left fielder. On the inside, second pitch of the ball game, and it's going to drop right in front of Gator McBride. So 2 pitches, 1 out and 1 on.
And right from the offset, you can see Mishler is going to have good control of these pitchers right here early. Both first hit ball hitters up here. Angle flying the ball out to right field to Andy Biviano. There, right there. Livers came in, got another good pitch, able to dump it into center field for a base hit.
Here is Corey Lamb, the second baseman, with Livers out by a couple of steps over there at first base. And as expected, Livers goes to hit the deck. He is safe. I think maybe the most improved hitting and running team in the SIAC from day one to today, Doug, may be this Reitz team. Most improved.
They have really got a good ball club, and if they can combine the pitching and also the hitting and also the defense, if they can get all 3 of those together in one game, they have a very good ball club. We've seen the pitching staff, Scott Hart, also Mike Fetcher, the ace of the staff, also Roger Getty coming out of the bullpen the majority of the season, picking up some big saves and some big quality pitching opportunities. But overall, they have struggled either one of those 3. If they can combine all 3 together in one game, look for them to be tough in that sectional.
Are they the upset? A lot of people going with Harrison. And again, we talk about for obvious reasons. But do not cut out this Reitz team. And I would say Castle would be a favorite in the Evansville sectional, except they're not in the Evansville sectional. A lot of people look to
play up in the South Spencer sectional, and that will be my sectional this year. I'm up there for the 2nd year in a row. They'll be taking on South Spencer, the host team, in the first game. And also Boonville will be playing up there, and Heritage Hills, and also, let me think who else is up there. They've got 5 teams, and I'll think of the other one in a minute.
1-2 here, the count to Corey Lamb. Gilmore on deck. We talked to him at the top of the telecast. So he looks forward to the 91 sectionals. Evansville playing right here at Bosse Field. 1-2 on the inside. And trying to go to third. It looks to be first and third for the Reitz Panthers.
And that opportunity right there is a drop third strike. First base was not occupied, so the batter Corey Lamb took off for first base. Not a really smart play by the catcher Van Way there. He should have gone to first, be sure to get the out. As soon as the ball was dropped, Livers took off for third, no play at third base, and then they didn't have a play at Lamb at first base after that.
Goes down as a K, but not an out. First base, Corey Lamb. Charles Gilmore here, the first baseman. He's dangerous with anybody in scoring position. 190 feet away in Livers. And Mishler in some early trouble here.
And Charles continues to lead this ball club as far as average and also home runs and RBIs. 352 overall, has picked up 23 RBIs.
Nice base hit. Something tells you he was going to take the first or second. Past Jason Tolley into Jason Christie. 1-0 here, the Reitz Panthers.
And anytime you give a team like that an extra opportunity, you issue a base on balls or you hit somebody, especially a strikeout, and the catcher drops the ball, goes down as an error on the catcher, you still get record a strikeout. But you're giving a team almost a second chance. And with Gilmore coming up, also Todd Hayes, the next batter, pretty much the meat of this order, so they're going to do as much damage as they can.
Batter number 5 in the lineup. We have the Reitz reinforced scorebook tonight, Doug, just in case they get bat crazy again. Well, it was Mater Dei who actually did it to them last week.
Everything just seemed to be going Reitz's way for about 4.5 innings, and then all of a sudden that bottom of the fifth hit, and it was just like everything caved in. Mater Dei came up with those big 7 runs.
It was a big 5th inning in general. We had 23 batters last week when Reitz took on Mater Dei.
And I've got the South Spencer sectional figured out. Tecumseh is that on their team. They'll play Castle in the first game, then South Spencer will play Boonville, and Heritage Hills is the 5th team. They drew the bye, so they'll be playing Friday night in the second game.
Tecumseh, Tecumseh, depends on what part of the state you're from.
Tomato.
On the outside there, looking maybe to get Livers to move.
Well, they had the opportunity before. Lamb was going off with a pitch, trying to steal third base, and it was a foul ball, so Castle thought maybe they might be going again, so we saw a pitch out there, and Corey stayed put at second.
Just one away here in the bottom half of the first inning. And again, it's first and second here for the Panthers. Final week of the regular season. Mishler in trouble. To center field, Gator McBride over a couple of steps, and there's 2 away. And a bluff here by Corey Lamb, overthrowing. Both runners will move up. 90 feet away here, Lamb. He'll stop at third, and an easy trip to second for Charles Gilmore.
Not very good baseball right there from Gator McBride in this Castle ball club.
Not characteristic of this Knights ball club.
Not at all. Usually in that situation, the center fielder, you're going to catch the ball. You've got an eye on the runner. He's going to be right in front of you. He broke as if he was going to third. As the outfielder, you need to get that ball down. There's no reason of trying to throw it all the way in the air. Hit your cutoff man, then you can get a cutoff throw over there. Also, not a very good play from Mishler. He needs to get over there, back third base up. You got runners on first and second. Any type of ball that's hit into the outfield, it's your job as a pitcher, almost a second duty, to get behind the base over there at third base in case of an overthrow.
Like this shortstop and Louis Meredith.
Probably one of the better shortstops as far as the city schools are concerned this year. You got an argument with Memorial and Robbie Kent. Pretty much both are fundamentally sound, maybe a little bit more offense out of Robbie as far as his bat is concerned, but both are going to do a good job as pretty much the quarterback of that infield out there. Get to as many balls as they can, knock them down. Both have good, strong throwing arms.
Castle has a great shortstop by the name of Jason Tolley.
As usual, there are a lot of quality ball players in the high school ranks around the city, and also the SIAC in particular.
There is talk, and it's small talk for the moment, that the schools in Warwick County may not have sports next year, but we've heard that kind of talk before.
Well, I think that they're running into budget problems, and whenever you have money situations like that, you're going to go to the least amount of factor that's going to be into that. You're not going to get a lot of revenue from the majority of your sports. Yes, you're going to make money on football and probably basketball. But you get into baseball, into track, they're not really revenue-making sports, so they're going to start there. I'm sure that once everybody realizes what they would be missing, look for some of the local merchants up there maybe to come through with some additional funds.
Here's a stat you won't get anywhere else but on TV 52. For the 4th televised game in a row, Reitz has the bases loaded at least once. They're loaded here again on that walk.
This brings up the right fielder, Bill Hammonds. Comes in at 306, has picked up 12 RBIs on the season, 19 for 62.
Lamb 90 feet away, Gilmore at second, Meredith at first. So again with the Reitz reinforced scorebook, this is batter number 7. I don't think that Missler's throwing bad, but as usual, there's 1 or 2 errors you have to look back on. They have one listed here on the board. The overthrow here past the third baseman, Bunnell. A walk's going to hurt Sheeran. Then again, you cannot default. Reitz is hitting the ball.
Well, they got a good start in this Castle lineup right here early in the game. We saw the first 2 pitches being hit. One went to right field and Viviano out there for an easy out. The next was a base hit by Livers. He eventually came around to score. But really, the thing that sticks out is that strikeout to Lamb. Anytime you can get the second out and still got a man on second base, you still got your 4th man coming up, but you have 2 out. And the miscue by the catcher Banway there enabled Lamb to make it to first base, and not really a good move on his part is trying to get Livers stealing third base.
As they say, 1 error on the board, 1 mental error. We saw a couple of mental errors last week in that long 11-inning game. And those can kill you. 3-0 pitch, and walk a run in. 2-0, the Reitz Panthers step across here. Corey Lamb.
That'll bring up the pitcher, Scott Hart. We saw him come in relief in that 11th inning affair. Came in the bottom half of the 5th. Eventually got Mater Dei out after they had scored 7 runs. On the season, Scott has not seen a lot of at-bats. Mainly he's used as the DH, and when he's on the mound has been DH some for a little bit. They've had a substitution where they've DH'd for him a little bit. Also, third baseman Dennis Maynard. On the season, Scotty at 235 has picked up 12 hits and 51 at-bats.
Tim Bell, and we'll see the entire Reitz 9. Bottom half of the first inning. Just a bit high here. I would not be surprised if Chuck Hawkins doesn't get somebody throwing pretty soon. You start to walk too many and start to walk them in. It's time to send somebody. A nice comeback pitch on the outside. 2-2.
Well, especially this time of year, you're not really worried so much about your wins and your losses. You're just really gearing up for the postseason play, and you want to give all your pitching staff as many innings of work as you can, just getting them ready for that postseason play. And going into the South Spencer sectional, probably are going to be one of the favorites up there, go along with the host team, South Spencer, and also Heritage Hills. Henry Ayers does a good job with the ball club up at Heritage Hills most of the time, too.
Walk in, another one. Runners are already moving with 2 away. Second one to walk in, bring in Charles Gilmore, 3-0. Meredith now 90 feet away. Hammonds at second. And Scott Hart here at first. Now all walk victims on, and here's Timmy Bell.
And if you look back at the scorebook, you can see that big strikeout would have been the second out. They would have got a base hit after that, which would have produced the first run. But then Todd Hayes flew out to center field, which would have been the third out to get out of the inning with only 1 run scoring. The walks have come back and haunt. As much as we've seen baseball this year, most times, whenever you see a lot of walks like this, majority of the time, those runners will eventually come around and score.
Livers, Lamb, Gilmore, all in. Are we in for another 3.5-hour game?
Well, if it continues like this, we'll have the 10-run rule. Don't count Castle out yet, though. We're just in the first inning.
And I'm sure Steve Johnson will tell his team, which I'm sure is happening between now and then, we'll be up by 10 and don't give up. They were up 7-0 against Mater Dei before they exploded there in the much talked about bottom half of the 5th inning. 7-7 for the longest time.
Very good example of once you get that lead, you can't really feel it's comfortable. I mean, even though it is 7 runs or 8 runs or 10 runs, you cannot get too mentally down or not worry about it. Get kind of lackadaisical. You still have to go out and play your type of ball game.
2-0. And a nice comeback down the middle. Angle for a second time on deck here in the first.
Let's see, in that Mater Dei game, the 5th inning, Mater Dei sent 13 guys to the plate, and in that same inning, Wright sent up 9. So starting out the same way that we picked up that 5th inning.
Would you look at this, 3-1 now. Could walk in his 3rd straight. 3-1 pitch, got him on the outside. 1 to go. Pitcher's nightmare here in the first if you're Castle.
And once again, the 3-2 situation, 2 men out. The merry-go-round is going to be started. All runners will be breaking with the pitch.
They move. A little foul tip, so we'll do that one again. 4:15 straightaway center. Your breeze towards left field. 3:15 down the lines. 3:75 power rallies. Runners again will move, and here's the 3-2 from Missler. It's on the outside, and it gets by Van Way. They'll hold him loaded and walk in a third strike now by Missler. And here comes Hawkins and company.
And interestingly enough, there is not anybody yet in the Castle bullpen. I assume that if he's going to make a change, we will see somebody that is already in defensively to come in and pitch. And that is not good as far as the athlete is concerned. Anytime you're on defense, a lot of time to warm up.
What a rough night for Mike Missler. He saw all Reitz 9, walked the last 4, and Reitz is on top by a score of 4-0. We're back with more SIAC High School Baseball on TV 52. Brian Riley on the hill for the Castle Knights, and Mike Missler will have a chance to redeem himself. He'll do that down at second base.
And hopefully he's going to get a couple chances to redeem himself. Not really on all game long. He got the first hitter angle to fly out to right field, then a base hit, that big strike, and that really, look back at that, that is going to be the telltale sign of this inning right here. They had the strikeout for the second out with Corey Lamb, but the ball was dropped by the catcher, enabling him to take first base. And then they got a fly ball out after that. Then the walk started. 4 in a row. We still got the bases loaded, 2 out.
Batter number 10, and also batter number 1, Craig Angle, second time here in the first.
Craig came in today, 292.
And it's upstairs. Jason Christie takes a longer look over his head, 315 feet away. Score 1, score 2, and score 3. And nobody thought this would happen. 7-0, the Reitz Panthers.
Well, we've seen this ball club enough this year to know they are capable of producing some big runs like that. They got out to that big lead in the Mater Dei game, then let it kind of fall to the wayside. We've not really seen a good game to where they've put everything together. And if you're a Reitz fan, hopefully this will be the game. You've got Scotty Hart on the mound, really the second as far as your starter is concerned all year long. Continue this offensive output. I don't think they're going to be able to do this every inning, but anytime you can get a 7-run cushion, hopefully you'll be able to hold that lead.
Every coach in the SIAC told me at the beginning of the season, more or less, it's how you come out of those final 2 weeks.
As far as getting your club ready, you want to have a good season all year round, but if you're going to pick a time to peak, look for it to be, for most coaches, towards the end of the season, regular season, gearing up for the postseason play. A good example of that would have been the Aces. They put together some big wins towards the end of the season, had a winning streak, second to none really, going up to South Bend, and just did not quite get the pitching. Once again, I think you can attribute that to going on the road. It seemed like that ball club all year long was 2 different ball clubs here at Bosse Field. A lot of runs early, gave their pitching a lot of support. And then once they went on the road trips, it seemed like everything was forgotten about the game of baseball.
Inning started. Craig Angle, 1 pitch, 1 out. And then the run production, the walks, 7-0. Angle now in scoring position. And the 2-1 to Livers down low.
And Sean started this hit parade, so to speak. He picked up a single to left field, picked up a stolen base, advanced to third on the air by catcher Van Way, and then came around to score.
Could be another walk in the inning in the first from Brian Riley. That gets behind Ryan Van Way. And now 90 feet away is Craig Angle. It's first and third for the Reitz Panthers. I have not seen Castle a lot this year, as much as I'd like to. But on paper, Doug, I was worried this would be the other way around at this stage.
Well, I've had 3 ball games involving the Castle Ball Club. They got beat by Harrison, and they also got beat by Memorial on their home diamond. Really, Memorial was not really a contest at all. Memorial came out and scored 10 runs in the first inning. The Harrison game, Forshee was pitching, and he was not really on as much as he is capable of being, but he pitched a good ball game. Harrison came up with that one, and then they came down last week and played Bosse, and Boise played a pretty good game. They got beat 10-3, I believe, but they came back after they were down a little bit. Looked like it might be a 5-inning affair, but the Bulldogs put together some good base hits, made that game go a little bit, and we saw a few defensive fundamental mistakes from this Castle Ball Club, and really all season long they've kind of been much like the Evansville teams as far as peaks and valleys, up and down, up and down.
That's why I like the double elimination, particularly in baseball. And I don't know so much for other sports, but this double elimination in baseball is probably true to the sport, because one game sometimes is not spell a season.
And it's really probably fair for everybody involved. If you have one dominant team, you go into a double elimination tournament, more times than not they're going to come out undefeated and they're going to be the champion.
Right.
But whenever you have so many even ball clubs, like here in the city this year, not really one dominant team throwing out Memorial, a game can go one-sided or another, and if you have a bad game in a double elimination tournament, you're going to have to come back through the loser's bracket, but you're going to have a more opportunity to put your stuff together and put a good game together back-to-back maybe.
Taking nothing away from the Reitz Panthers here, but this is not Castle baseball.
Definitely not, especially the walk situations. Coming in, Mishler had not really struggled as far as walks a lot. His overall record not really that bad. It's just a matter of location, and I'm sure the familiarity of this Boise Field ballpark. Not a lot of games played here by this Castle Ball Club. Different. You're not used to the mound out there. Defensive players, we really haven't seen a good look as far as seeing how they're going to play the ball, especially in the outfield with the sun being a factor today.
One strike to get out of it. A little hop over the shoulder of Ryan Van Way here at the plate. No need to slide. Bringing another in Craig Angle, and now the lead 8-0 for the Reitz Panthers. They have entertained us this year, haven't they, Doug?
We have had a few games with the Reitz, and they have been an interesting ball club. We had them early in the season, and they were kind of on a downswing. Coach Johnston thought he had a good ball club coming in. They put together a couple wins and then kind of fell apart on the road against Forest Park, I believe, where Forest Park had not really had a lot of opportunity to get out on the diamond early in the season.
Look at this, bobbling here at first. Let him take it himself. Andy Julian to get it out of it. Another one comes across, though, just on a bad pitch. And Wright sends up a dozen here in the first and lead it by a score of 8-0. One long inning in the book. And you're watching the 1991 SIAC. It's high school baseball on TV 52. If you want to see 3 up, 3 down for the Castle Knights, and 12 come up for the Reitz Panthers. Total 15 in the first, top half of the second, and Jason Christie takes the first.
And this we might get an idea of how bad that sun is out there. Not really a good jump for Hammonds there to get in on that ball, but the sun was not a factor right there. It's going to be tough. Maybe a little bit easier for the Reitz players here today since they are familiar with this ballpark.
Johnston yelling at Corey Lamb maybe to move over and help out Bill Hammonds, but man, that sun is very tough.
Well, the sun was tough, and that ball was not hit really that deep. As a right fielder, you have to get a good jump on the ball anytime you're coming in like that, especially when it's falling like that so quickly. And it's really the second baseman's job as well as the right fielder. Both converge on the ball. Then whoever has the best shot calls for it, calls the other player off.
On paper, Jason Tolley here, the shortstop, the most dangerous of the Castle batters.
Comes in with a .484 average. He is one of the top 3 as far as the SIAC leaders concerned. He's picked up 31 hits and 64 at-bats and also scored 20 runs.
Nothing in 1, now nothing in 2. Andy Julian, who will head to the University of Southern Indiana next year, is on deck.
And the big 3 power hitters are pretty much the guys in the top of the order as far as batting averages. Tolley leads. Viviano has put in 3, also McBride 3. So this ball club is capable of scoring runs. Tolley also leads the ball club as far as RBIs with 29.
Most notable to come out of this program of recent note, Marty Watson.
And it's really a shame that Evansville could not continue that winning streak up there. They ran into a good ball club they knew they were with Notre Dame. The pitching was just not there, kind of like pretty much all season long as far as road losses, just not able to get anything generated on the road. They had some big early leads, but then the pitching staff pretty much was annihilated. And anytime you face a ball club like Notre Dame, capable of putting the offense together like that on their home field, look for him to come through with some big hits.
Back-to-back base hits. Christie and Charlie combined here in the top half of the second. So Castle won't sit down. Neither did Mater Dei. So again, your 8-0 lead almost means nothing this early.
Not in the game of baseball, especially around the city of Evansville this year, just because so many ball clubs have good fundamental ball players. They know the personnel as far as who's going to do what. Whenever you're on base, you know who's up. He's a good hitter. He's going to get me around to score. Pretty much know the game of baseball, and I think you can attribute that a lot to the coaching staffs around the city and the SIAC.
The future Screaming Eagle, Andy Julian, watches players advance to second and third on a bad pitch from Hart, getting behind Hayes at the plate. So with nobody out, both again. He'll be a good addition for the Eagles.
Well, I think Coach Redmond will welcome him out there as far as getting some new blood out there. They kind of struggled this year, put together some big wins, but entered in a disappointing season with them also not getting a bid to the NC2A Division II tournament. I think both Brownlee and the Aces and Redmond and the Eagles were kind of on the same line as far as thinking they might get one, and they just were not able to put the big wins together towards the end of the year.
Hart in a bit of trouble here. Started off with that bad sun in right field. Really don't want to fault Hemmons. He had a good jump on it. Well, started out bad, but met the ball, just lost it in the sun. Starting to go down here on this evening.
Well, with this being a 6:30 starting time, it's not going to be as much of a factor as it would be in a 4 o'clock afternoon game.
Bases loaded for the Castle Knights. Christie 90 feet away. Charlie at second. Julian here at first. Hitting breaks off just a little bit with Adam Odom. Vanway and Bonnell to round it out.
And here we see the pitching coach, Okie Pryor, going out, just trying to get everybody back into the ball game. It's kind of hard as a high school player to keep your concentration, especially in a game when you come and score 8 runs in the bottom of the first inning. But I would think Reitz would have learned their lesson last week in that game with Mater Dei. They got an early lead, 7-0. Then everything started to cave in. The walls fell down. Mater Dei scored 7 runs in that bottom of the half. Hopefully they learned their lesson right there, and I think Pryor out there right now just trying to get everybody back into the ball game. Get Scotty thinking like a pitcher again. He had a good first inning, set him down 1-2-3. Now he's fallen into a little bit of jam. Get back to the basics of baseball.
Yeah, Odom, Vanway, and Bonnell. Now it's Hart and Hayes, the battery.
Odom, the DH today, is batting for the original starting pitcher, Mike Mishler.
This one out down at second will be defensively. On the inside there to Hayes. No place to put Adam Odom. Nice on the outside, take a shot down there with Louis Meredith at second.
And the times we've seen Scott on the mound, he's kind of had this bad inning or two where he's come out, he's put some big pitches together, got out of an easy inning, and then kind of lost his concentration, fallen behind a little bit on some of the hitters. He ended up walking, I believe, 5 in that Mater Dei game. He put together back-to-back walks 1 inning, which really didn't cost him because they came back and shut the offense down.
2-1 on the outside, bring it even 2-2. Really Hart needs this batter.
This is a big batter. You've got the bases loaded, nobody out. If you get this one by a strikeout, you're going to have 1 out, a good possibility for a double play. And we've seen the defense of this Reitz ball club. They are capable of putting together the big double plays when they need to.
Going to be in for another long ball game if this keeps up. 3-2, and that's the 4th time Hart's been there through these first 7.
Well, we have our determining factor of the length of game going by right now, our first train. We'll see, we're here for 2 or 3 more.
Walk in another run, and this time it's on the Castle side, favoring the Knights. Our score now 8-1.
This will bring up Brian Vanway, the catcher for Castle. Does a good job back there behind the plate. Had a tough first inning, especially dropping that 3rd strike. But as far as his fundamentals, does a good job trying to block the pitches, and there we see he can also hit.
Something tells you it's going to be another 3.5-hour ball game here at the plate. Not in time. Bring across a couple more. It's now 8-3 Reitz, and we're just in the top half of the second inning. Tully in, Julian in.
And we also saw almost a fundamental mistake by Reitz. The ball was hit to Hammonds out in right field. Kind of bobbled it a little bit, but that really didn't cost him. Instead of getting the ball back in the infield to hold the runners at first and second, his throw was to home. No chance at all to get the runner coming from second base, Tully, or in that situation was Julian. So you have to get the ball back into the infielders, keep those runners on the bases. The ball eventually got past Hart, but the runners were not able to advance.
Rounding out the night 9, it's Brad Bunnell. Not much size to him, but they say he can hit the ball. He's the third baseman.
Being the number 9 batter, probably not a lot of offense as far as getting the big hits, RBIs and such, but is kind of from the athletic family. His brother Scott is the place kicker up at Indiana, so he is an athletic athlete as far as knowing how to do what with his body. Works a lot during the off season. Is going to be your quality hitter as far as getting on base any way he can. He's going to draw a lot of walks. Good sacrifice man, a good man with the bat, getting the ball down, advancing the runners.
Some people laugh when they say it's in the family blood, but you know, it really is.
It is. It has a lot to do with it. As weird as it seems, or you think, well, that can't have anything to do with it. It does.
It's like horses, in a way.
Okay, Trotter. Spent an evening in Riverside Downs the other night, I saw.
Yeah, that was quite some time.
Did you actually get in one of the buggies and ride around?
Not the buggies, but they let us ride around the starting gate. And I think we had that program on Monday night. But that was interesting. Athletes of, I guess, a different nature. Those harness drivers know what they're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, any type of horse racing person is going to be kind of have the horse racing in their blood. I mean, not maybe so much born into it, but once you're around the horses, it's kind of like anything else. You can't get it out.
They have the stories also. We look at the second strikeout from Scott Hart, so he's faced 9 and struck out 2. And we're back on top here to Brian Riley. Next Monday night on the Press Box program, we'll have a special segment previewing this 1991 baseball sectional, talking to all 6 teams involved, some of the players and coaches. That'll be the Press Box program Monday at 5, and if you miss it, be on again at 9. Next Monday evening. Nothing in 1 here to Riley. Viviano on deck. And 2 on for the Castle Knights.
Brian started the top of the first inning good at bat. He worked the count, really to 2-2, and then fouled off a couple pitches, waiting for the pitch. Eventually grounded out unassisted to first baseman Charles Gilmore.
Nice pitch there from Hart, 0-2. Actually, probably the most comfortable night we've had out here in probably the last 2 weeks.
Tell you what, it was a blazer this afternoon. Not a lot of air moving around. The sun was out, a lot of humidity in the area. Typical Evansville weather. Probably not so much typical as far as the high temperatures, but the humidity and the discomfort factor definitely fits in.
Still nothing in 2 here to Riley.
And of course, it didn't help with your air conditioner being on the fritz.
No, it didn't. I got to get that fixed. First and second here for the Castle Knights. They've got a lot to make up. Now trailing by 5. Let me take a look at a strike there. Down the pipes. Second in a row.
Good off-speed pitch there by Scotty. He had Riley off balance. He really didn't know what was coming in. Worked the count to 1-2 again. Riley fouling off a pitch, trying to wait for his type coming in. And a good, smart pitch there by Scott, working with catcher Todd Hayes as far as trying to guess what Riley is looking for and then go exactly the opposite.
Nice size to Andy Biviano. With 2 away, he has 1 in scoring position. 2 on here for Castle. Just in the top half of the second. Another out-of-town team. Not too far in the distance, Mount Vernon. We'll take a look at the Wildcats. You'll see them right here on Friday night with the upbeat North High Huskies.
And Mount Vernon is another type of ball club that has kind of been up and down all year long.
Stunned Harrison.
The coaching staff, Dave Bell and Steve Mitchell down there, do a good job. Fits in well with the city programs as far as being not so far, able to come up and play some home-and-home series and have some of the Evansville teams go down there to play. but they are also a good ball club. They'll be playing in the Princeton sectional as they do every year. So really a good baseball fundamentally division around as far as concerning the SIAC and the surrounding area.
They have a nice ballpark out there in Mount Vernon. Matter of fact, USI played there a couple of years ago in one of their NCAA games.
And it helps whenever you have a facility like that as far as getting quality teams to come in and get some good ball games.
Corey Lamb to Charles Gilmore. It ends that way. 3 come across here for the Castle Knights. Lead cut to 5. 8-3 the Reitz Panthers. As we go to the bottom half of the second inning, you're watching the 1991 SIAC. It's high school baseball on TV 52. Half of the second inning alongside Doug Emig. I'm Darren Smith, Charles Gilmore, Todd Hayes, Louis Meredith, Bill Hammonds all scheduled up here. Well, at least 3 here in the bottom half of the second. And the pitcher back on the hill there for the Castle Knights, back with Mike Missler.
Well, we've kind of had a flip-flop situation back in the bottom half of the first inning. Missler moved to second base. Second baseman Brian Riley moved into pitch, so we're into the second inning. Moving back once again, a pitcher can leave the mound area 1 time per inning and still return to the mound.
Something different here, and well, it's different in every state, I guess, but you had to wonder what was going on with Hawkins and Missler in the dugout. Maybe Missler said, I have the stuff to go back out there and redeem myself on the hill.
Well, anytime you get into a situation like that, especially with the re-entry rule in the high school level here, if you have the opportunity, you can take a pitcher out maybe who's struggling a little bit, get him over on the bench. This time Missler went out and played second base, but just kind of get his mind away from pitching, try to recollect his thoughts, and then able to come back. And he really threw a lot of pitches, but not a lot compared to a regular game, so he still has some stuff to come back.
Charles Gilmore takes a look at the inside pitch, so it's Mike Missler, the sequel.
Part 2.
Yep.
Charles picked up an RBI single to left field back in the first inning. Also came around to score 1 of 8 Reitz Panthers to cross the plate back in the first inning.
He's on deck, and he's a good one. See if Reitz again takes advantage of a breeze out toward left. That's it in a beautiful evening here in May. 2-2 the count here to Charles Gilmore.
And if you look at that first inning, it was pretty much a disaster inning as far as Castle was concerned. They ended up issuing 5 base on balls, 4 by the starter, Missler, and then 1 by Riley.
Not in time. Slow hit ball, but the speed of Gilmore may have grabbed him that base.
And I think what comes into play there is just the Castle players are not used to this diamond here. We've seen it enough to know anytime a ground ball is hit into the grass area, it's going to slow down a little bit. As the infielders, you need to charge the ball, get to it as quickly as possible. And Tolley, the shortstop there, kind of laid back a little bit and let the ball come to him and just had no chance at all to get Gilmore at first.
So this inning already starting out worse than it did an inning ago. 1 pitch, 1 out. That's the way it went to Angle in the first. The first reach is here in Gilmore, and again it's Todd Hayes.
Todd Hayes, the second out back in the first inning, flew out to center fielder Gator McBride. Had runners on first and second. No chance really for an advancement there for a sacrifice fly or maybe advancing the runners up 1 base.
A little low here to Missler. That was his problem back in the first. And now it's 2-0. If he comes out again, that's it. Gilmore goes, hit and run on, and that faked out Jason Tolley. As it rolls to Christie and left, they're going to hold him first and third. The Reitz Panthers, and here they come again.
And that is the exact way you want to execute the hit and run. The right-handed batter up. Really, in that situation, I feel the second baseman should be covering the bag. But Castle elected for the shortstop, Tolley, to go cover second base. The runner was off with the pitch, Gilmore. Just a good base hit there by Hayes, hitting the ball where Tolley should have been originally, since he was breaking and got out into left center field, and easy advancement for Gilmore to third base.
Louis Meredith. 1 of 5 walk victims, 4 from Meredith. Back in the big first for Reitz. 1 of 8 to score for the Panthers.
And Castle was really lucky to get out with just 8 scoring that time. Anytime you walk 5 hitters, only 1 eventually came around to score, but you really can't say enough about that. Well, I guess there was more than that if I'd update my book here. All 4 came around to score, 4 of the 5.
A little upstairs there from Mishler.
And Mike is definitely not pitching well today, and I'm sure that would be the first thing that would come out of his mouth if you asked him about his performance. Terrible with my location, not able to find the strike zone.
Well, we all have off days. John McCauley didn't have the best over in South Bend over the past weekend.
Well, there wasn't really any one pitcher that really had a good game.
Maybe Corkin for maybe 6.
You can look at Corkin. He really came in, not been used a lot late in the season by Coach Brownlee, but he came in and gave them some quality pitches when they needed it. Baker came back Friday evening of the second game after they lost Notre Dame. Their second game, the first game Friday, and gave them some good pitching. But when you look overall, Wilming did not have that good of outing. McCauley did not have that good of outing. The bullpen pretty much stunk. But when you face a ball club like Notre Dame, anything is possible, and they just crushed the ball.
So it's sad to see Notre Dame not get in. We did maybe a little bit of wonder for the MCC.
Well, we talked about that a little bit before our game here off air. That goes back really to the automatic bid that they lost when they went to the divisional play. They have gone back now to the round robin to where every team in the division will play the opposing teams either home or away. We saw Evansville go to Detroit this year. Notre Dame came down here. They also went over to Dayton. So hopefully if they can continue that, they might get the automatic bid back. But whenever you have like your ECAC teams out east, not a lot of ball clubs out there play a lot of games just because of the weather factor. A lot of teams do not have the opportunity to take trips south early in the season and get started early. So they might not play but 45 games, and you get a team that have a record of 25 and 16 get in with an automatic bid.
Play here at the plate. And I think that Vanway was playing too far up.
Well, that means don't touch the ball.
Not really a good shot to get the runner from third, Charles Gilmore, on that play. The ball was hit deep enough, and he knows, listening to Coach Johnston, as soon as the ball is caught, he's going to tell him to go. And it would have taken a good throw from Viviano. Julian was the cutoff man. For some reason, he decided to cut the ball off, and when you cut it off like that, most of the time you're going to eliminate your chances of getting the runner at the plate.
Bill Hammonds, the right fielder. Hart and Belly can round out your Panther 9. There's one away and one on. Another across. 9-3, the Reitz Panthers. It looks to be our only chance to see Castle on TV this year. We may see him a little bit later on in the regionals, which you'll see here on TV 52, but not impressed yet.
This is not your typical Castle ball club, especially this game here. I've seen them enough this year to know that they are capable of putting together the big hits. And anytime you've got 3 of your starting 9 over 400, even at the high school level, you're going to score a lot of runs, get a lot of run production from your 5 and 6 hitters. 7, 8, and 9 are going to be basically your sacrifice people. Get a single here and there, pick up some extra base hits maybe. But this is just not your typical Castle ball club at this game right here.
Ducking out of the way there, Mitchell. You could have got a glove on that one over his head and just snuck through the middle, first and second for the Reitz Panthers. Boy, I'm really surprised. So sometimes you just say, well, they're not playing that well, but this is horrible.
Well, coming in, we knew probably Castle might have the upper hand just because Reitz has struggled a little bit. Castle playing a fewer number of games as far as Reitz coming in, but as far as their run production all year long, when you've got your 3 guys hitting over 400 among the leaders as far as the SIA teams are concerned, you really have to look at those guys as far as being the number 1 guys as far as the run production. And Reitz, we see them enough this year to know they're capable of doing that. It's just a matter of getting all of the wheels turning at one time. And so far, Coach Johnston and the Panthers have really not had that opportunity much this year.
Just bouncing in front of Vanway. Just horrible, horrible baseball here from Castle. 2 more in scoring position.
Well, the only way you're going to like this ball game is if you're a Reitz Panther fan. And then you're going to say, well, it's about time we had a game like this. Just because you've had so many tough luck losses, and you really have to look at Mike Fetcher all year long.
Look at this.
Has been the quality pitcher. And almost a base running blunder there by Reitz. You have to make sure as the runner at second base, the runner from third, Hayes, goes in to score before you take third. But getting back to Fetcher, he has struggled most of the year with run production behind him. His overall record, I believe, at 2-5, but he is among the leaders as far as the city teams with ERA and also a big number of strikeouts. So their time has come.
That one fouled back. Our score 9-3 here in the bottom half of the second. And there's 2 in scoring position with 1 away.
And you also don't like these games if you're an umpire.
This time is up the middle, and wouldn't you know it, right by Jason Tolley. He doesn't do that much. Bring across a couple of more. And this is like fast pitch softball.
Definitely not your typical Castle baseball game, and definitely from what we've seen, Reitz has not been able to put these type of numbers up on the scoreboard this early in the game. Majority of their games they have been behind and come back, or also got early leads and then somehow let them slip away a little bit. So we've seen just about everything so far this year with our baseball schedule.
Here again is Tim Bell. Unbelievable.
We've seen good pitching, we've seen good hitting, we've seen good defense. Now we're seeing bad pitching. Not too good a defense so far by Castle today either.
Take this one down to Brian Riley. Riley here going to Tolley, try to turn a double play, not in time. But I think happy just to get 1.
With the way things are going, anytime you can get 1 out, pretty good opportunity there to turn a double play. Second baseman Riley made a good turn, got the ball to Tolley in time, but the pull or the throw over to first base pulled Julian off the bag, so that enabled Timmy Bell to make it to first base. So now you've got 2 outs back to the top of the lineup.
How bad has it been if you just joined us? 3rd time in 2 innings. Here's Craig Engel.
Craig 1 for 2 today, flew out to right field back in the first and then picked up a big 3 RBI double in that same inning.
On by a couple of steps. Now Tim Bell at first. This will take more time here. That one bounces by Ryan Vanway. And I'm not making fun of Castle. I'm just saying I know they're a lot better ball club than this. I'm not a Castle expert, but
well, I
expect more from them.
I think anybody that is familiar with the Castle program overall, basketball, football, wrestling, whatever, you know they're usually pretty good ball club when it comes to sports. They have the athletes up there in Newburgh and Paradise to draw a lot of good athletes. Usually have caliber of ball clubs that are comparable to some of the city ball clubs, but today just definitely not their day so far.
On the outside. Now Bell in scoring position.
And the only team really or person that is benefiting from this type of ball game is the Reitz ball club, just giving them a little bit more confidence as far as their run production. It's not good for the Castle ball club, especially not for Mishler. The defense, anytime you have a game like this where it's so monotonous and it's so slow, where you've got a lot of walks, bad defense behind you, they're all going to be kind of down. You just hopefully will get this game over in a hurry.
Nice hit ball, and it's over the head of Jason Tolley. Jason, you should have had. Bring across another. It's 12-3 Reitz.
And Craig picks up his 4th RBI today. That is his second base hit. Both have been to right field. A double back in the first inning, his second time up, and now a single to left field. That'll bring up the left fielder, Sean Livers, 1 for 1 today. Been on base twice, reached on a single and scored back in the first inning, and his second at bat in that same inning drew a walk and was left stranded at second.
Put the Reitz Panthers in prime time here late in the season, and they make the most of it.
Well, they really showed a gutsy performance in that Mater Dei game. You would think with a 7-0 lead and then really giving them 7 runs back that things might be a little bit down as far as momentum and everything. But they really showed a gutsy performance. They stayed together as a team, put a lot of goose eggs on after that 5th inning, and then came up with 2 big runs in the top of the 11th.
Just upstairs, there is some bullpen work getting set for the Castle Knights. So you guess they're not going to go to Riley again. 2-0. And Engel at first. Bottom half of the second. And trying to take another one. Things are going your way. Why not? Another stolen base for the Panthers. We get set to welcome you to hour number 2 in inning number 2.
Does that mean if this is going to be a 7-inning game, we're going to be here 7 hours?
I wouldn't doubt it.
We might have to send out for a supper break. Give Mr. Ballmeyer a call down in the concession stand and send up some
Panachos.
anything. Bratwurst, hot dogs, hamburgers. We'll have our dinner and then probably even a midnight snack.
Sean Livers here. Things going his way, as they are the Reitz Panthers. Although one strike from getting out of it, Mishler. A little high. So now you've got Angle in scoring position.
And right now, Mike is just struggling to find the plate anyway. He's still staying with his original rotation as far as his number of pitches and how he's going to use it, his arsenal, if you will. He really, as I'm concerned, needs to just come in, throw the ball, get some strikes, let the Reitz players hit the ball. Hopefully your defense behind you will not let you down.
3-2 on the inside. He walked him. So it's first and second here for Reitz.
That's only the first walk so far this inning.
First this inning.
After 5 an inning ago.
This is something.
And again, we're not laughing at Castle.
No.
It's just we're not used to seeing this from this type of ball club, especially from Coach Hawkins' vantage point. He usually has a good nucleus of players, and you're not going to see this type of ball club come in and play this type of game many times.
They're trying to get us on Warwick Cable. I don't think they want to see this game.
Well,
not yet.
No, definitely not. Unless, well, you know.
Table's turned again, yeah.
Right. We're just in the second inning. So anything can happen, as we've seen.
12-3, and we're still not out of this second.
And as an umpire during games like this, especially the home plate umpire, you kind of want to enlarge your strike zone just a little bit to give the other team a little bit of a confidence boost. But with the pitches so far by Mishler, you really can't do that because he's not even near the plate with most of them.
It's second and third for the Panthers. And Corey Lamb has a chance to knock a couple more in.
Corey 0 for 2 today, a strikeout victim back in the first inning, but reached on an error by the catcher, Ryan Vanway, enabling him to take first base, which really should have been the second out of the inning. Reitz probably would have got out of that inning with just 1 run scoring, and then grounded out unassisted to first baseman Andy Julian to make the third out in that first inning.
Looking to bring 2 more in before this is over. 1 out to get out of it for Castle. And on the outside.
And there's not really anything anybody can say to Mike either as far as trying to pep him up or get his confidence back. He's just struggling out there, and it's just a matter of time before he will eventually lose everything, and then we're going to see Coach Hawkins come out and bring somebody else in.
They are loaded again for the Reitz Panthers. You don't really like to see any team on this level get skunked.
No, and we're not biased up here. We're not for any one team, city or out of the city, SIAC, Mount Vernon, Castle, what have you. We're here to describe the ball game, and we want to see a good ball game, but whenever you have a fiasco like this, I mean, you almost have to feel sorry for one of the teams just because nothing is going their way.
So Reitz, who knows better than to let up, wants to keep building. Right now it's 12-3. You take a look at the hits on the board, 7-3 for the moment. You look at a lot of walks.
Walks and also errors have been a problem for Castle. Charles Gilmore up at the plate now, 2 for 2, has picked up an RBI with a single back in the first inning. And he was only batted 1 time in the first inning, believe it or not. He came back in the second inning to lead this inning off and picked up another single. Has scored 2 runs today.
Incredible. 2 innings. And look at the number of batters. Take it on the ground, and it's past Brad Bunnell at third base. Scored 2 more. On his way to third, Corey Lamb, second and third again for the Reitz Panthers. So the fireworks continue, and there's still 1 out to go, and I think we're going to see Mr. Hawkins.
Well, you knew it was just a matter of time. I think he probably had enough confidence into Mike to leave him out there. He got himself into this mess. Hopefully, as far as Castle is concerned, he can get himself out of it. But he struggled all evening long with the strike zone, not able to find it. He's got ahead of just a few hitters. Majority of the pitches he has been behind on in the count had to come in with something fat. And if he got it over the plate, the Reitz players have came in and got some big base hits.
Todd Hayes, batter number 23 through 2. Is this not over yet?
No.
You like that first? We're going to see it again here in the second. And it's down low. Another base hit's going to score 2 more. On the outside. Just looking at the scoreboard, 8-6. It's not over yet.
2 are out, though.
Yeah.
That is one advantage that Castle might have their way.
Castle coming off a grueling loss to Memorial just yesterday. You don't walk out of those easy, win or lose. Thus far, only one team has beaten the great Memorial Tigers.
And they had to come out of state to do that, Henderson County. And that was a game probably Memorial should have won, but that was a game where they committed
many an error.
A lot of errors.
That one rolls foul. So Wright's looking to add. So it is an early big lead.
Well, of all the games that I've done on TV and umpiring this year, this is probably the worst that I've seen as far as just domination early in the game. Castle obviously struggling with just about everything. They did produce 3 runs in the top half of this inning, so their offense is still capable of producing some runs, but the defense has been a problem, and obviously the pitching with the number of walks that they've allowed.
3-2 and 1 strike to get out of it here for Missler. I don't think we'll see him in the third. Upstairs, Gator McBride coming in. No sun this time. McBride holds on. Goodbye to 2 innings. Reitz picks up 6 more. Your lead, 14-3 for the Reitz Panthers. And you're watching the 1991 SIAC on TV 52. Innings, top half of the third, alongside Doug Emick. I'm Darren Smith, Gator McBride, Jason Christie, Jason Tolley. For the we better get it going Castle Knights.
Wow. Well, it's only the third inning, but right now 14-3. That 10-run rule will come into effect after 4.5, with Reitz being the home team. Put together 3 runs an inning ago, sending 8 men to the plate. So we start off with 3, 4, and 5. McBride, a flyout victim to right field back in the first inning. You know this Castle Ball Club is capable of producing some big numbers themselves, so you really cannot count them out, even though the pitching has not been there. Defense has kind of let them down a little bit. Still look for them to come out offensively and try to put this game back within reach.
Well, they picked up 3 there in that second.
Billy,
Christy, Charlie, and Julian, who I imagine we'll see here, scoring in that matter. Still Scott Hart, though, for the Reitz Panthers.
And Scott kind of struggled back in that second inning. He allowed 3 base hits, 3 runs across the plate. Also had a little bit of control problem. Ended up walking 2. Only one of those came around to score. Finished pretty strong, though, after he allowed the first 5 to get on base. Had 2 strikeouts and then an easy ground out to the second baseman, Corey Lamb.
Scott Hart from the hill. Nice pitch on the corner. Doesn't rain, it pours, Gator. You didn't like that last call. Two and 1.
And Scott can't really think about that run lead right now. It's a big whopping 11 runs, but he really has to go out and pitch as if it was a 2 or 3 run game. Not change anything in his mechanics or his repertoire of pitches. Really just go out and throw his regular type of ball game. And we see him struggling a little bit with his control.
3-2, and not to pick apart Hart or anything, but one thing earlier is he is throwing a lot of pitches.
Well, he set him down 1-2-3 back in the first. He went a lot of pitches to the first batter, Riley, who fouled 3 or 4 off before eventually grounding out Charlie Gilmore down at first base. And here we see Todd Hayes going out, just kind of re-emphasizing what he's out there to do. We've got a big lead right now. Don't worry so much about finesse pitching. Just get the ball over the plate. We've got a good defense behind us. Let these Castle guys hit the ball. Hopefully they'll hit them to where our defensive guys are. Let's get out of this.
Here's the leather pop on that one.
And as usually is the case, whenever the coach goes out or the catcher goes out and just kind of gives them a pat on the butt or something, say, come on, let's go get them, the pitcher usually comes back with a big strike.
No slouch here is Christie. Big single in scoring back there as mentioned in the second. And Scully and Julian await. And these are the 3 that scored.
And this is the problem order of the lineup as far as Reitz is concerned. These guys will do the most damage.
But he get the 1. Good move there by Gilmore. Had thoughts of going down, either Meredith or Lamb covering down there at second.
Really, on that play, his only play was at first base, simply because he was coming in. McBride had the good jump at first base. He thought about going to second for the force out, but really made a smart move. Decided he better go to first base and ended up tagging Christie going down the line.
Jason Tolley, shortstop with Julian on deck. And he's not played his kind of game even at shortstop. Upstairs, 2 coming together. Livers calling him off. Worried about Meredith and Livers colliding. Also coming over was Craig Angle from center field. Now there's 2 away.
And that's where communication comes into play. As a shortstop, Meredith is going to go back until he hears Sean say, I've got it. As a shortstop, you try to get to as many balls as you can, infield or outfield. And it's really the left fielder's job in that play to come in, call Louis off, say, I've got it. He's going to get out of the way, and you've got a clean catch at it.
So it is 2 away and 1 in scoring position in Gator McBride. Andy Julian with Andy Odom on deck. Again, it's on the outside corner.
Julian drew a walk back in the second inning, came around to score the 1 of 3. The last 3 here, Christie, Tolley, and Julian were the 3 to score back in the second inning. Came in at .418, leading the teams in home runs with 4.
Through 3 players. You don't see that often. Right past Hart. Lamb was there. Meredith was there, and it rolled to Angle.
And we've seen a number of cases this year on our TV games. As a pitcher, as soon as you release the ball, you have to get into a fielding position. I think Scotty thought he should have had that ball, and you can kind of tell it down there right now. He's kind of disgusted with himself. But as a pitcher, you have to be another defensive player out there. You just can't throw the ball. So you have to get in that fielding position, get ready in case the ball is coming right back up the middle like that. Once it gets past Hart, there's really no chance for Meredith or Lamb to make a play either, so it went out to center field.
Here again, Andy Odom. McBride in, 2 away. And Julian at first.
Pretty good zip on the fastball right now from Scotty. You can see right there, Odom a little bit late with that swing, able to foul it off, but took it to the right side of the diamond there. So he needs to gear up just a little bit. Scotty's ahead 0-2, look for maybe some type of breaking pitch, and that's exactly what it was.
Strikeout number 4 for Scott Hart. Out of the inning rather cheaply. The lead is 10, and Wright's coming to bat again in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. It was an overdue for Castle. Another new pitcher in the game, B.J. Huff.
Well, hopefully for Castle's sake, he can do a little bit better job than Mike Mishler did, the starting pitcher. Struggled in the 1st inning, struggled again in the 2nd inning. His control was really not there all game long. Reitz has put on a number 14 runs so far, 8 hits, 3 Castle errors so far. So really the defense has not been there. Not a lot of base hits. We know this Reitz club is capable of putting the big hits together. And a good example is Craig Angle picking up 4 RBIs today. Gilmore's picked up 3. So when the runners have been there, most of the time via the base on balls, they've come through with the big hits.
14-4 in favor of Reitz. Again, in the bottom half of the 3rd, it's Meredith, Hammonds, and Hart.
Louis has been to the plate twice today, has yet to get an official at bat. Drew a walk and scored back in the 1st inning, and then came up with a sacrifice fly and picked up an RBI back in the 2nd.
12 batters for Reitz in the 1st, 11 in the 2nd. And our first look at this B.J. Huff on the hill for Castle. The rest of the defense remains the same. So Riley stays in at second. I believe Mishler is out for now.
And I'm sure Coach Hawkins just said one thing to B.J. Go out there, throw strikes. Right now, he's seen enough walks. He doesn't want to see any more. If Reitz is going to get the base hits, so be it. Let him earn the runs instead of issuing so many walks and pretty much giving them most of the runs they've got today.
On the far outside for B.J. Huff. Castle, let's hope that's not an indication. Getting closer, but down low, 2-0 from Huff. Here again to Louis Meredith, the shortstop. And he finds the corner. Don't get used to the hill and the use of dimensions of Bossy Field. It's not an easy ballpark to come in and pitch at always.
I'm just looking back at my scorebook. It was a mess with the Reitz Mater Dei game. It's turning into that same way. 12 hitters the first inning, 11 back in the second.
A bobble here, Brian Riley, and it's in time to Andy Julian and the Oz from the right side.
A pretty good play there by Riley, just getting over, knocking the ball down. He still had his presence of mind to know he still maybe had a chance with Meredith running out. A lot of speed there with Louis, so he had to make a quick decision, find the ball, and then make a good, strong throw to Julian over at first.
Bill Hammonds. Very close, but as an umpire says, there are no ties. He's safe or he's out.
It's either safe or out. It's either a ball or a strike.
Hard on deck again, this is Hammonds.
Bill 1 for 1 today, drew a walk and picked up an RBI with the bases loaded back in the first inning. He eventually came around to score and then picked up a single and scored again in the second.
B.J. Huff with a 1-0. Big count inside. Here by Bill.
Hammonds came in at 306 on the season for Reitz. Well, he, along with Meredith and Gilmore, really the top 3 hitters on this ball club. Gilmore being the big RBI man all season long for Coach Steve Johnston and the Reitz Panthers. Hammonds on the season picked up 19 hits and 62 at-bats, 12 RBIs, also 6 doubles and a triple. And you know who we haven't seen today?
We haven't seen a lot of people.
Kevin Bullock, who's usually in this lineup.
You're right. Fouled back here. That window was open, Doug. You were dead.
Oh, I would have caught it.
Uh-huh.
As much as I ran around this game of baseball, my reflexes were there.
Right.
Would have stung, but I would have caught it. Just maybe out of my reach a little bit to the left.
Big cut there, and so it's 2 up, 2 down for the first time tonight for the Castle defense.
Sure wouldn't have pulled a suitor on him, I can guarantee you that.
I'm sure he was watching you.
Scott Hart, the pitcher, due up now, has picked up a pair of RBIs with a walk, bases loaded situation back in the first inning, then reached on an error by the shortstop, Jason Tolley, picked up an RBI there.
And it's Bell on deck. So all trying to get up 3 times through 3 innings. But the first 2 retired. Second here to Hart. And it's 1-1. It's 14-4 if you're just joining us, and that is in favor of the Reitz Panthers.
The scoreboard people haven't moved that 4th run over yet.
Reitz also out hitting Castle 8-3. A lot of walks also to the past couple. Chasing on the outside. I think B.J. Huff is gotten in there and maybe giving this Castle, well, offense and defense some confidence that they can sit him down in order.
Well, he's basically done what he was supposed to do. I talked about what Coach Hawkins had told him probably. Once again, I'm just guessing, but really you want him to come in here and just throw strikes like he's doing.
2 strikeouts that time. 3 up, 3 down for the first time in a while for the Reitz Panthers. They still lead by 10, 14-4 after 3. As you're watching Reitz and Castle High School Baseball on TV 52. This ball game belongs to the Reitz Panthers, Doug Emick.
But if you're a Castle Knight fan, you have to be a little bit enthused by that last inning. Good job by Huff coming in, setting him down 1-2-3 the first time today. Castle sent up 8-9-1, Vanway, Bunnell, and Riley. Ryan Vanway, the catcher, picked up a 2 RBI single back in that second inning, scoring the second of 3 Castle runs back that inning.
So it's still Scott Hart on the hill for the Panthers. No reason to pull him yet. Maybe a little scary in the second, but you've got a nice cushion. And again, it's 14-4 Reitz.
And that is one of the advantages of having such a big lead. If you've got a pitcher that has come out, has kind of been up and down most of the game on an inning or so, and then issued a couple walks, a couple base hits, you have that luxury with that big 10-run lead. You can leave him in there maybe an inning or two longer than you normally would.
1 up, 1 down. Defense starting to take shape.
Good play there by Craig Angle, the center fielder. Got a good jump on the ball. He is really the quarterback as far as the outfielders are concerned, sort of like the shortstop. He tries to get to as many balls as he can as far as calling off the other players. He was going to his left. Bill Hammonds was coming from his right. Angle had probably the best jump. He was going with the ball, so he took it.
0-1 here from Hart.
Bunnell, a strikeout victim back in the second inning. And then we see another shot out to center field.
Almost with the ease. Nice run for Craig Angle, and there's quickly 2 away.
And you can credit both of those catches probably just to the fact that both of these ball clubs are used to playing here at Bosse Field. They can see the ball well off the crack of the bat. The grandstand behind them is green, so you're not going to have any confusion as far as picking the white ball up off of the back wall. Able to pick the ball up rather easily, and it's really critical to get a good jump on fly balls like that are going out, sort of dying a little bit.
Brian Riley. Could it be another 1-2-3 inning? Up the middle, right past Louis Meredith. And again to Craig Angle. So another comes aboard here for Castle, and they need the race runners.
And I know it's still early, but don't count these Castle Knights out. I've seen them enough times to know that they are capable of putting some big runs on the scoreboard. This is right fielder Andy Biviano. 0 for 2 today. Got called on third strike back in the first inning and grounded out Lamb to Gilmore back in the second.
Puts Gator McBride on deck. And went out for making quick work. On the outside for ball 1 from Hart.
And the Castle Ball Club likes to run, but this is really not a running situation. You're down 10 runs. You've already got 2 out. You want to avoid a force out at second base if possible, but really not a running type of game here.
Nice hit ball, well over the head of Craig Angle. Roll back about 375 feet to the wall on that one. With ease on the scoring is Brian Riley. An RBI triple here for Biviano.
Just as I said, it's never too late. This game is not over until that final out. They are capable of putting some big numbers on the scoreboard. As bad as they're playing right now, the pitching is obviously not there the first 2 innings. A good job by Huff coming in the last inning. But if you have that offense to fall back on, that's going to be your momentum builder. You can look in there, let's get out of this defensive inning, get back into the offensive swing of things.
Nice inside pitch, too low, though, ball 1. Gator McBride.
McBride 0 for 1 today, flew out to right fielder Bill Hammonds back in the first inning and reached on a walk and came around to score back in the third. And even with a 10-run lead, now it is a 9-run lead. If you're Scotty Hart, you still want to be a competitive pitcher. Come in, try to get the quality pitches, and that one just got away from him on the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, Scott doesn't really have a lot of problem with control as he gets going anyway.
Left fielder Jason Christie due up now 1 for 2. Picked up a single and scored the first of 3 runs for Castle back in the second inning, and then grounded out to Gilmore unassisted back in the third.
Come on, Alec. Hey, come on, Scotty.
And last inning outside. Going to play a couple, trying with some more. Nice pitch there from Hart.
And right now you can't be concerned with the runners on the bases. You've got that big lead right now. Work on the man at the plate, Christie. He got a base hit a couple innings ago, so you know he's capable of producing some hits, but Scotty did a good job of his concentration there.
Corey Lamb holds on, so, well, 4 come up. 1 score. And it takes away from what would be a 10-run rule for the moment. We go to the bottom half of the 4th. 14-5 our scores. You're watching the 1991 SIAC on this evening. Reitz and Castle on TV 52. Looks like Dennis Maynard will bat here for the Reitz Panthers. Bottom half of the 4th inning. He was being DH'd for by Tim Bell.
Dennis on the season, not a lot of at-bats. He has been DH for a few times. 36 at-bats on the season, has picked up 7 hits, average at 194. He is really in there for one thing, and that is his defense. You can kind of compare him to a Brad Smith for the Aces, to where his defense is what's keeping him in the lineup. Any extra at-bats you can give him will just provide that much more offense eventually. It's going to take a little bit of time, especially since you're a spot hitter. You hit a few games here and you hit a few games there. Here's an opportunity with a 9-run cushion right now, capability of getting him some at-bats.
Well, Reitz could make it I don't want to say a quick game, but an abbreviated game as far as innings go. If they can pick up 1 here, we put all the pressure on the Castle Knights in the top half of the 5th inning, Doug.
Well, it has a 10-run rule in effect after 4.5 if Reitz should put another run on the board. And if you look at the Castle lineup, they've got Tolley, Julian, and Odom coming up, so that is the 2/3 of that big 3 part of the lineup.
Back on top here, it's Craig Angle.
Craig 2 for 3 today. Picked up a single back in the 2nd inning, picked up an RBI. 3 big RBIs on a double back in the 1st inning.
Upstairs, Viviano may have misread that one. Scooped that one before it hit the grass. The old shoestring catch, Doug.
Kind of got a bad jump on that ball, and I think, once again, just because these Castle players are not used to this ballpark, they have trouble picking the ball up, especially in a night game, not used to the lighting situation around here. But Viviano made a good job to correct his mistake, came in and made a shoestring catch.
Sean Livers, so the first 5 that B.J. Huff has faced have all gone down. A couple on a K. Seen 1 4-3. Last 2 in the outfield. Try to sit him down in order again. Your 1-0 pitch. And getting behind Ryan Vanway. We could begin for the long 7 with Huff here on the hill for Castle. 14-5.
BJ has done a good job, and we talked about what his role was coming in with that big deficit on the scoreboard. Really just come in and do what he's done so far. Get the ball over the plate, try to get ahead of the count. Went 1 and 2 on both Hammonds and Hart last inning before eventually getting them to strike out. First 2 hitters here in this inning hit the first pitch. Now he's seen a little bit of wildness, issuing his first walk.
First to get by Huff and Corey Lamb. Knocked the ball pretty good. The first 2 innings, grounded out to the first baseman. At one point, Reitz scored back in that first also.
He's been on base twice. The first time via that error by catcher Ryan Vanway on a strikeout. He dropped the 3rd strike. Nobody was on first base, so he was able to go down to first base. Not really a smart move after dropping the ball. Instead of going for the easy out, he elected to go to 3rd, trying to get Livers, who was advancing. No play there either. So he has been on base twice today and scored 2 runs. 1 run.
What could be the winning run over there at first. Put the pressure on Castle in the bottom half, but nope, it's right back up the middle. B.J. Huff to Andy Julian, and we'll see something more than 5 on this particular evening. 4 come up for Reitz, and the 3 go down. We go to the top half of the 5th. It's Reitz by 9, 14-5, and back with more high school baseball on TV 52. It's Panthers, Joey Pettigene.
Making his 2nd appearance for the season for Reitz, so not a lot of mound time. Pitched in 2 1/3 innings of work, allowed 4 hits, 5 runs, 4 those earned. Also issued 3 walks. ERA not that impressive, but with the few innings he's worked, you're not going to expect a lot. Really a good opportunity for some of the young arms on this Reitz ball club to come in here, get some varsity level of baseball under their belt, see what it's like to pitch on the varsity level, and a good opportunity here for Coach Johnson to use some of his subs.
14-5, the storyline here in the top half of the 5th inning. here, Castle and Reitz. On paper, you might think that's Castle with that big lead, but not on this evening. It has been the domination of the Reitz bats combined with, well, a lack of defense by the Castle Knights thus far. A lot of walks given up, couple errors, mental, and you see the ones there on the board too now for Castle. And that's where we are. Jason Tolley playing uncharacteristic, the shortstop. At the bat, he's 1 for 2.
Came in leading this Castle Ball Club with average. Second leading hitter as far as SIAC players are concerned. Hank Wheeler leading away at a 500 clip. Tolley right behind him, 484. He's also picked up 4 home runs and 29 RBIs.
I would say a good candidate for our all-SIAC team, which we'll announce just a couple of weeks here on TV 52.
Well, I'm glad that we got to see Castle instead of just seeing the stats in the newspaper most of the time. It gives us a better opportunity as far as selecting the starting 9, starting 10. I still think we should go lefty-righty on the mound.
We've got a lot to pick from for pitching.
Let's bring up the first baseman, Andy Julian, who is also a fine pitcher for this Castle Ball Club on the season. He is 6-3. He is really the ace of the staff when you compare pitching staffs. You look at him and Jonathan Wiggins, Eric Wagner, and Ricky Forsey and Mike Fetcher. They are all the #1 pitcher on their ball clubs.
Down low, a nice 1-hour special coming on TV 52 on June the 3rd. A Monday night at 5 o'clock, repeated at 9. Part of the Press Box show, and we'll take a look at 9 or 10 of the very best at their position in the SIAC. We'll also have highlights from the 91 sectional championship game out here.
Through our eyes. So, sure that our picks will not be favorable to some, thinking, well, you left so-and-so off and you left so-and-so off. Really, with so many quality players around here, it's going to be tough to come up with a 9 or 10 and still be able to keep everybody in mind. We might have to come up with an honorable mention or something.
Nice hit ball to right field, and Bill Hammonds has a run. So it's a 1-out single for Julian. Yeah, this all SIAC team is not the Sports Illustrated SIAC team with the AP, even the Courier. It's the TV 52 all SIAC team.
And if they've watched us enough to know, we might know what we're talking about. We might not.
Well, you're going to get Gillis running here for Julian. That's some speed. You've got to play catch-up ball when you're down by 9. And it's Andy Odom here, the DH. With 1 away. Maybe Wright's looking to turn 2 to bring it to the bottom half of the 5th quickly. Again, if Wright's can answer with the scoring here in the bottom half of the inning, they can end it. The 10-run differential.
Odom 0 for 1 today. Picked up an RBI with the bases loaded walk back in the 2nd inning, and then starting pitcher Scotty Hart back in the 3rd.
Chuck back here. Pettigene and Gilmore keeping them tight. Get us out by about 4 steps at first. 0-1. Getting behind Todd Hayes. That's bad news for Reitz. And a rarity by Hayes. Not the best of pitches to catch for. Pettigene let it get away. Bad pitch, and now down at second is Gillis.
So that pretty much eliminates your double play ball. As a batter, Odom, you're going to try to go to the right side of the diamond, advance that runner to third base. Wrights really cannot worry so much about the runner at third base. They still got, or the second base. They've got that 9-run lead. Their main concern is keeping that batter runner off at first.
Nice pitch there from Pettigene. 1-2 here from Joey. Not doing bad here early.
Well, seeing how he's seen very limited playing time as far as his pitching performances, has come in and thrown a lot of off-speed stuff, trying to keep the Castle hitters off balance up there. Come in early with a fastball, try to get ahead of the count. He's worked it to 1-2. When you're ahead like that, you can come in with an off-speed, maybe a slider or a changeup or a curveball, to where they're looking for a fastball, get them up on their toes, and they're going to be out in front of that breaking pitch hopefully you'll get them off balance a little bit.
1-2, weird hit ball. Only option here to Gilmore at first. Take a shot down there at second, almost leaning too far out was Gillis. You don't want to come in and run for Julian or anybody and make a blunder move like that.
And the way things are going for Castle right now, it wouldn't have surprised me if they would have picked him off. It just seems that they are not into this ball game emotionally or mentally, especially when you get down 14-3 after 2 innings. You're going to lose a little bit of your pizzazz as far as coming in expecting maybe an easy game here. Reitz has struggled a little bit, 15-12 overall coming in. Your ball club at 14-7, maybe expecting a little bit too much for granted from this Reitz ball club.
I don't think overconfidence was a problem. They played Memorial very, very well, but still had the L on that.
Well, as we talked earlier, this Castle Ball Club is always usually pretty competitive, especially whenever they come in and play some of the city teams, and some of the city teams travel up Castle Way into Paradise and play some road games. Always play pretty close with the teams. There's not really a dominating factor as far as the city domination over the outside area teams. When you look at North Posey or Tecumseh, North Posey, Mount Vernon, Castle, you have to throw them all in. And they have the players that are capable of performing pretty much up to par with these city kids.
That's going to fall as it rolls back to Craig Angle. Another one's going to score here for the Castle Knights. So again, don't count the Knights out of it. Reitz is one team, you look through over the season, will give up a lot of runs, but also produce a lot themselves.
Well, we've seen a very good run production here tonight, and you can attribute that, of course, to the walks and some of the errors that Castle has made. But they've got 9 hits overall. And you look at a ball club and you can look down there and you see the number 4 hitter. Charles Gilmore comes in batting right around 350. Leads the team as far as RBIs, and you got Meredith and Hammonds also right around the 300 mark. Livers and Angles a little bit below 300. But they're capable of scoring some runs, and they know that. It's just a matter of time before something like this happens, and hopefully they'll be able to use it to their advantage, gearing up for the big sectional play coming up next week.
Myers is going to run for Van Way, so something in the doings here by Hawkins. Wants the speed on the bases to bring him across one at a time. He didn't score any in the first, 3 in the second, and now 1 in the third, fourth, and here in the fifth. But this one's still active, but 2 away. Brad Bunnell. Get at the bottom of the batting order. Brian Riley awaits on deck. Riley's last time up in the fourth had himself a single and scored.
And Joe is doing a pretty good job with his selection of pitches. Sure, Todd Hayes, having been the catcher all game, knows what to expect from these Castle hitters, so he's calling the game. You're not going to see a lot of shaking off as far as Pettigene is concerned. He's going to have confidence in Hayes as far as calling the pitches, and he's done a good job with his selection.
I think maybe Louis Meredith could have held on anyway. Maybe he did. Tagged second for good measure. Not a bad idea. But Castle brings across one more. And after 4 1/2, our score, Reitz 14, Castle 6. As you're watching SIAC High School Baseball on this evening, Reitz and Castle on TV 52. Back out at Bossy Field alongside Doug Hemming. I'm Duran Smith. We played, well, almost 5 here, and if Reitz can pick up 2, they'll win the ball game due to that 10-run rule. But nothing coming across in the third and fourth, and that's maybe a one-man effort, and B.J. Huff
has come in and done a really good job. Ran into a little bit of control problem back in the 4th inning. Set him down 1-2-3 his first inning back in the 3rd. Has not yet allowed a base hit, so he has pretty much shut this offense down early. And if he can keep the base runners off the bases via the base on balls, let them hurt you with what they're capable of doing. And now we've got the meat of the order coming up. 4, 5, 6, Gilmore, Hayes, and Meredith. So if Reitz is going to do it, Huff is performing well. They're going to have to get the base hits.
Reitz looking for win number 16 on the season on the inside.
Charles 3 for 3 today. He's picked up 3 RBIs, a single back in the first, scored, single in the second and scored, and then doubled in the second. Picked up 2 RBIs and was left stranded at second.
This will be a disappointing loss for Castle. As mentioned, not too bad. They lost their 7th on Monday. They are 14-7. Wind has died down. Not a bad evening for baseball at all. Big cut there by Gilmore.
A nice spring evening. You can do just about anything. Good night to cut the grass, provided you get done before darkness sets in. Good night for a walk in the park with your sweetie.
You have a sweetie. Great pass to Andy Julian. And it's an extra base for Gilmore. Probably shouldn't have attempted to throw that one. And defensively, no, I have not been impressed with Jason Tolley tonight.
Well, he's kind of let himself down as well as his teammates, committing his second error right there. But the way things are going, nothing is going Castle's way. They have not quit yet offensively, putting 3 on the board in the second, then 1-1-1. But overall, as a team performance, I'm sure that they're going to look back at this game, especially since it's towards the end of the season, as a downfall for Castle. Hopefully they can re-gear and group as a team coming into sectional time.
So we could see his same Castle team again. And again, Jason Tolley. Couldn't get there.
When it rains, it pours.
Now you get a feel for him sometimes, because we watched Dennis Maynard over the past couple of weeks here boot a couple down there at third, and that's really uncharacteristic of him.
Well, as many games, even on the high school level, as these players play in, you're not going to have a perfect game every time out. And I think most of them realize that. It just seems that whenever something goes bad, everything goes bad. And it's going to hurt you a little bit as far as your overall performance, but really you cannot let it get you down and not let the team overall let it get them down.
Picked up by Meredith, getting behind Vanway there, the catcher. Winning run for Reitz. Assuming that Gilmore scores from third, is it first?
Well, they're up 14-6. They need 2 runs for the 10-run rule. It will be after 4.5, not really 5, since they are still batting. You got first and third. Nobody out yet. Meredith 0 for 1 today. Picked up a walk and scored back in the first inning, an RBI sacrifice fly in the second, and then grounded out Riley to Julian back in the third.
Hammond's on deck. He gives himself a nice single. Also scored twice. Was also struck out. Last 2 errors, he's 6, and this one has a shot. It's going to be a two-hopper to Andy Viviano, and it's first and second. And I'll tell you, Viviano, for not getting there, a heck of a throw quickly to third.
Well, not a real smart throw by Viviano, because he saw the runner was at second base. He was not attempting to even go to third. That situation, you want to get the ball into the infield quickly, but you want to hit one of your cutoff men. Anytime you try to throw all the way to third, and we saw him miss a cutoff man, there's a possibility, especially the way things are going Castle's way tonight, of the ball getting past the third baseman and allowing Meredith and Hayes to move from first and second to second and third.
I think that's maybe anger. Just mad you didn't get there.
Yeah, a little bit, but you really cannot let that become a part of your ball game, because it's going to hurt you and also hurt the team. I mean, obviously you're not pleased with the way the team's playing today, and you kind of feel, well, if I would have caught that ball, back in that inning, or if we would have done this or we would have done that. You can't really dwell on it too much. You can't really put it out of the back of your mind, but you have to put it on the back burner. Stay in tune with what's happening right now. And I think at this age, anger is and emotion is going to come into play a little bit, where once they realize that, there's nothing you can really do about that, that's done with, forget about it, continue on with the ball game, realize what the situation is. They're going to realize that as they get older, and you're going to see more fundamental type moves as far as the baseball is concerned.
Nice hit ball, and I'll tell you, if Hayes comes across, that's going to be it. Get it in a hurry, Castle. Bases are loaded here for Reitz and nobody out. I think, Doug, we're going to just see 5 on this evening. Well,
the way it looks right now, this is really the first struggle that B.J. Huff has run into since coming in back in the third inning.
Those 2 errors don't help at the beginning, though.
No, not at all. And it's another thing, going back to the age, you can't really mistakes out there. As many games as they play, you're going to have situations where things do not go your way. Coming in 14-7, obviously they have not had the type of year that they had anticipated early in the season, thinking, well, this is going to be our year. We've got a lot of seniors. We've got McBride, we've got Julian, we've got Tolley, we've got Vanway, we've got Riley. They all have varsity experience. right now nothing's going right, so hopefully for Castle's sake they can cut something off here.
Jean, his first at bat on this particular evening, can bring in a winning run. 90 feet away is Hayes. 15-6 Reitz. Boy, oh boy. On the inside. I'll tell you, if he walks him in, that's it.
Well, that would probably be characteristic of the way the ball game's gone
right
today. If it's going to happen on the 10-run rule, it will probably come in a bases-loaded walk situation. Jean on the season at 250 has not seen a lot of at-bats. This is his 8th at-bat, 5th official at-bat. He's picked up a hit in 5 plate appearances.
What was the over-under in this game?
I believe it was 18. I was not expecting this type of ball game.
No way.
From either side.
If it's a ball, it's over. 3-2.
What, Joey? Hop it! Find your hole there.
And we see the Castle defense. Everybody is playing in on a long fly ball. It's going to be the first out, but there's no way of getting the runner, Todd Hayes, at third base. So any ground balls hit in the infield, the fielders make a play, look for them to come home. Any fly ball that's catchable, look for the Castle guys to catch it, and that's it.
We don't have to worry about any more hits. And if this isn't the biggest surprise here on the SIAC TV 52 season, Doug, I don't know what is. I'm not taking anything away from Reitz, but I never would have thought Castle would lose by 10 runs and have this stopped after 5.
Well, it was definitely not a Castle type of ball game. We talked coming in that they had a pretty good season, a little bit disappointing probably overall, but they had the sticks, they had the pitching, we thought. Just obviously today the walks are the main concern, the problem all evening long for this Castle Ball Club.
I have a sneaky feeling we're going to see Castle again, maybe in regionals. Maybe our next look at Castle on TV 52. Who knows, but this is not the Castle team that we have read in the papers or have even seen over there in Paradise. Not tonight, Doug Emick.
Definitely not, and for Coach Hawkins' sake and Castle, I hope that they will be able to regroup for this thing, be able to learn from their mistakes. You know they're not going to come out and walk like that, and I wish them all the best in the sectional play. Also, Reitz and Coach Johnston.
Final score is 16-6. Reitz takes this one. They move to 16-12, and Castle falls to 14-8. We'll wrap it up. SIAC High School Baseball.